In Fallout New Vegas, you can help Jason Bright, the leader of the Bright Brotherhood, achieve his dream of sending his flock to a better place, to the far beyond, supposedly a place of safety and healing for ghouls. The climax of the quest can end with Jason and his flock ascending the heavens inside REPCONN test rockets, but there's no mention as to where the far beyond actually is. It could be a metaphor for the afterlife, a real location, or a simple lie. If we ask Jason where he's taking his flock, he avoids giving us a definitive answer, only saying that he knows where to go thanks to his visions from the Creator, some mysterious being that he believes is guiding him and his followers to their new home at the far beyond. However, not all members of the Bright Brotherhood will be going on the great journey. According to the Creator, Chris Haversam, Jason's senior engineer, cannot survive the journey due to him being a normal human. The radiation around the launch pad, as well as the radiation at the far beyond, is strong enough to kill both Chris and other ordinary humans within a matter of minutes. So humans in general cannot survive the journey or the destination, which is one of the main reasons the ghouls are going to the far beyond. They want to escape the cruel wasteland and the bigotry of its human inhabitants. Again, this doesn't reveal whether the far beyond is a real place or not, but you can look at the situation in several different ways. Jason is a false prophet. There is no Creator, there is no far beyond. This is just his way of gaining power and control over people. He intends to isolate his flock with radiation, both to maintain his power and to prevent human factions from getting involved. Or Jason is a true prophet, the Creator is real, as is the far beyond, which wouldn't be the strangest thing to exist in Fallout. There's fallen angels and demonic gods, so he could be telling the truth, but we don't know if it's the afterlife or a real location. Or Jason is suffering from the effects of feralization. As a result, he's hearing voices and hallucinating. He doesn't mean to cause any harm and truly believes the Creator is guiding him to a better place. However, the far beyond is nothing more than a figment of his imagination and simply doesn't exist. If Jason is a false prophet or turning feral, then both the Creator and the far beyond are make-believe. There's nothing more to say, and the video ends here. But if the Creator is real, then it's still possible the far beyond is a metaphor for the afterlife or a real location. Again, if it is the afterlife, there's nothing more to say. The Bright Brotherhood die one way or another, and their souls are taken to the far beyond to be with the Creator. However, if the far beyond is a physical location that we can actually go to, then where is it? Before moving on to where the far beyond could be, there is something I'd like to address, and that's certain endings that involve the Bright Brotherhood. If you help the flock, there's two unique endings that have Bright followers returning from their pilgrimage to help the people of Novak, either helping them evacuate before the Legion attacks, or helping restore their defenses, allowing them to remain independent of the NCR.
During the Legion's attack on Novak, Bright followers returning from their long pilgrimage assisted in its evacuation. Though Novak eventually fell to the Legion, many citizens of Novak were able to escape, alive and intact. Though Novak was a low-priority target for the Legion, many of Novak's citizens died in its defense. In the weeks that followed, several Bright followers returned to Novak to help restore its defenses, allowing it to remain independent of NCR.
These endings don't prove or disprove anything, but it does show us that certain followers left and then returned. Why they returned is never explained, although going specifically to Novak was most likely to find Chris, who went there after the others left, so that isn't much of a mystery. But if the far beyond is real, then why did they come back? They know Chris can't go to the far beyond, so they must have some ulterior motive. Well, my theory is the rocket that loses control crashed somewhere nearby. Those that survived went to Novak to find Chris, to repair their rocket, and to try again for the far beyond. This means it's possible to have followers heading for the far beyond, as well as being in Novak shortly after, which also means there's no limitations, because those passengers on the other 2 rockets don't necessarily have to return for the endings to occur, and any one of the theories can still work. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to assume the far beyond is a physical location, otherwise the video would just end. With that said, let's talk about where the other 2 rockets could be heading. Thanks to Jason, we know the far beyond is a place of safety and healing, somewhere with lots of radiation and minimal bigotry. A common theory is Jason is taking his flock to the moon. That would explain the rockets, spacesuits and helmets, and the moon is quite irradiated due to solar radiation, so I can see why people would think this. Sure, there's a chance they could be heading for a damaged moon base or a space station with a faulty reactor, but if their new home is a moon base or a space station, they would need an ocean of knowledge to maintain it, which they don't have. The only reason they were able to use rockets in the first place is because of Chris, who they purposefully leave behind. Without his knowledge, they won't survive in space unless the far beyond wasn't in space, but on Earth. If so, then why are they wearing spacesuits? Well, I believe they serve a different purpose: insurance. The flock intend to travel inside pre-war test rockets that aren't guaranteed to hold oxygen for the duration of the journey. In the event the rockets were to go above 20,000 feet, which they surely would, the reduced air pressure wouldn't be a problem. Remember, these are test rockets, so they most likely don't have emergency oxygen systems or air masks for the passengers. So instead, they have spacesuits and oxygen tanks just in case they need to breathe. It's a redundancy to ensure they survive the journey to the far beyond, which, like I said, is on Earth. Now, you may think the direction the rockets travel in would be useful, which are northwest, but the rockets are fired from fixed installations, so they don't really have a choice but to start in that direction. However, the rockets must be surface to surface, otherwise the flock wouldn't be able to land safely. So I think it's safe to say the rockets have maneuvering thrusters for a vertical landing, meaning they could change direction in flight, so the far beyond could be anywhere. But let's look at the destination in a different light, which makes figuring things out so much easier. The fact they are using rockets implies they are traveling a great distance. But what if the far beyond isn't exactly far in terms of distance, rather far beyond the reaches of man, with the clue being the fact that their destination is highly irradiated? So it could be somewhere as simple as the damage zone of a nuclear strike. And there's one location that stands out as the ideal location for a group of ghouls to call home: Dayglow. Originally known as San Diego, is a city northwest of the Glow in Fallout 1, at the center of which is the Westech Research Facility, the birthplace of FEV, which was directly hit by a nuclear bomb during the Great War. And the fact that FEV is involved will play a part in just a moment. Before 2161, Dayglow was populated by individuals that founded the Followers of the Apocalypse, but the inhabitants left due to radiation sickness caused by the Glow. After 2162, a group of ghouls from Necropolis, the City of the Dead, were forced from their home by super mutants. As a result, they travelled south during what's known as the Great Migration, at the end of which they found the ruins of San Diego and made it their new home. The ghouls from Necropolis could wander into the nearby Glow without fear of what the radiation would do to them, and they found Westech. Soon after, they set up a scavenging company excavating the facility for valuable technology, which led to partnerships with the NCR. The reason Dayglow could be the far beyond is because it's safe. Ghouls are treated as equals by the NCR, so minimal bigotry, and they get to live in radiation, which heals them. Radiation which is strong enough to keep humans away, so it ticks all of the requirements for it to be the far beyond. As for why Jason decided to use rockets, well, that comes back to the creator. If Dayglow was in fact the far beyond, there's a small chance that a ghoul in the area encountered FEV and unlocked psychic abilities. There are instances of certain creatures and people gaining powers from FEV and using them to communicate telepathically, or to appear in dreams with prophetic messages, so the creator could be nothing more than a ghoul with psychic powers, calling other ghouls to Dayglow where they will be safe. I understand Dayglow is only around 300 miles from REPCONN, which is a fair distance to walk, but entirely possible. So it's a bit of a mystery as to why the creator wanted Jason to use rockets. But if the creator is able to give Jason visions of the future, then maybe the future where Jason used rockets was the most safe. It allows the flock to avoid warring factions, unnavigable terrain, and dangerous creatures, so it is plausible. Though in the end, there's no canon evidence to suggest Dayglow is the far beyond. It's just the most likely location I could think of. Yet there's so many possibilities for us to consider. The far beyond could be a metaphor for the afterlife. Jason could be a false prophet or is turning feral. But it's just as likely that the far beyond is real. It could be Dayglow, or it could be somewhere else, somewhere we haven't yet heard of. Maybe in a later game we'll find the flock or their ships, and then we'll finally know if the far beyond is a metaphor for the afterlife, a real place, a simple lie, or the delusions of a ghoul slowly turning feral. Until then, you can decide. Be sure to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already for more Fallout content. If there's anything you'd like to see in a later video, leave a comment and I'll see what I can do. With that said, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.